What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Power Grace Purpose. I am your partner in purpose, Elena J. So let's get started. All right. So today, you guys, we are going to talk about self-worth. When I say that, what comes to mind? The reason I want to talk about self-worth is because it came up recently for me and I just had a huge revelation. So I attended a virtual conference that was put on by Woman Evolve, which is run by Sarah Jakes Roberts, whom I absolutely adore. And I decided to sit in on one of the sessions about prayer. And that session was run by her sister, Cora Jakes Coleman. And in the session, she was basically preparing or teaching us how to prepare for prayer. So before we go into prayer, these are some things that we need to do. And one of the things that she was talking about was affirming ourselves. Basically saying we need to put our mind in a place to receive, or not just our minds, but our spirits in a place to receive whatever it is that God would share with us during prayer. During her explanation, she had us take a moment and say 3 words: I am worthy. And you guys, of course I did it. And when I did it, I started crying, real tears, right? And this completely caught me off guard because I'm I affirm myself all the time, but realistically, I don't affirm myself in a way that reminds me of my value and my worth. I affirm myself regarding my capabilities. So when I said I am worthy, it really just struck my heart in a way that I've never experienced before. I think I have relied on other people to tell me those things versus saying those things to myself. And that was just a huge wake-up call for me. So I thought it would be awesome to share that experience with you guys and really dive into self-worth, why it's important, and how we can maintain that. Let's first talk about what self-worth actually is. So you guys, when I looked it up, it literally said another word for self-esteem. I'm okay. So I'm going to read you guys the definition of self-esteem that came up. And it says, it's an individual's subjective evaluation of their own worth. Self-esteem encompasses beliefs about oneself, as well as emotional states such as triumph, despair, pride, and shame. So it's an evaluation of our own worth, what we believe about ourselves. Okay, so let's dive in. Let's talk about why self-worth is important. I have a few points. The first one is pretty obvious, and it's to give us a confidence and self-esteem boost. When we know what we're worth and we know what our value is, and let me say that we know what it is, we know what we're worth, and it's in a high place, if that makes sense. So I think you can have self-worth and it be just like self-esteem, either be low or it can be high. When we embody self-worth on the highest level, it will then impact the things that I'm going to talk about. When we know our value and we know what we bring to the table, it's easy for us to show up as confident women. And it's easy for our self-esteem to rise because we don't compare ourselves to anybody else. It's us against ourselves, and we're just trying to be our best. We're trying to show up as the individual that we've been created to be, and we master that, and we do it well. So when we know that and we're grounded in our worth and our value, we can't help but be confident. Second reason is It leads us to and through our purpose. What does that mean? A lot of you watching may already know your purpose, and some of you may not. So for the ones who do know your purpose, when I say that your self-worth leads you through your purpose, what I mean is operating in purpose can be hard, right? Like, we're bound to run into bumps in the road. We're bound to experience some type of rejection, or just some type of resistance. And if we don't know our value and our worth in those moments, it's easy for us to quit, right? It's easy for us to start questioning what we're doing, because maybe things didn't go how we thought they might go. But if we know our worth, we know we've done the work, right? And again, we know what we bring to the table and what we deserve. We can rely on that in those moments. For people who are trying to discover their purpose, the way that self-worth leads you to it is self-worth helps you to keep moving forward. So when you're working toward purpose and you're just consistently acting and doing, as you do that, things will be revealed to you. When you know your value, you know what you can bring, and you have that self-respect, it helps you to continue showing up every day. I hope that makes sense. When we're trying to discover purpose, typically we have a lot of ideas, we have desires, and passions, right, that we want to pursue. So we start pursuing those things. And as we do that, things will be revealed to us. Whether that's, okay, you're not so good in this area, or you're not so impactful in this area, so maybe you need to switch gears a little bit. Or maybe, yes, you're doing great in this area, you're getting a great response from the people that you're serving. This is your lane. And then my last point on why it's important is it helps us to tap into our power. Now, as I said in the first video, here at PGP, I believe that you have power within, grace abounding, and purpose resounding. So let's talk about that power within, right? When we have self-worth, it helps us to tap into our God-given power. And that is in all areas: mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And that can come out in a few different ways. And it's kind of like a domino effect. So let's talk about mentally, right? When we run into roadblocks and things that just try to punch us and knock us out, right? Mentally, the first thoughts that come to mind are not positive in most cases, right? They're like, oh, like maybe I can't do this. Maybe this is not for me. Maybe I need to switch gears. I don't know. And then that leads to emotions of maybe sadness, defeat, fear, right? And then that leads to spiritual things where we just feel defeated. We feel like we aren't enough, right? And then that comes out physically in the way that we treat ourselves, whether that's maybe not eating, or we're just stressed out, or, you know, whatever that looks like. So it's a complete domino effect. But if we start from the top, mentally, in tapping into our power due to our self-worth, when we hit a roadblock, our thought is not going to be, oh, I can't do this, I'm not capable of doing this. It's, okay, let me go back to the drawing board, or let me go tweak my strategy and try this again. You know, it's not all is lost, right? And I can't do this. It's just like, oh no, this comes with the experience. This is a part of my journey. And I'm just gonna take it for what it is, do what I need to do to adjust, and I'm gonna try again. And when we have that mindset mentally, emotionally, it provides some relief for us. We aren't you know, going to crawl in a corner and cry. I mean, we may cry. And that's fine. I do want to say that emotions are completely valid, right? We're not meant to have positive emotions all the time, right? But when we have those not so great emotions like fear, anger, sadness, we know how to manage them, right? Instead of dwelling in them and staying in them, because we have that thought process like, okay, I can just go back to the drawing board and try again. That takes us out of that sulk and it helps us to move forward. And then spiritually, we're a bit lighter, right? Like it's not such a heavy situation where it's just like, I have nothing. And then physically that comes out as well, where we're not as stressed out. We still may be able to value ourselves in different ways, like working out and, you know, eating healthy. I know a big part of like being stressed out is like eating unhealthy food or too much food, whatever the case is, just as an example. And so it's a domino effect, and it affects all of those areas. Those are the core reasons why self-worth is important. So if this resonated with you, make sure you like this video, subscribe, share it with a friend, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.